This is the part 2 of antimalarial drugs, and that includes the description of individual drug in the detail. In the first part, we have gone through the life cycle of a plasmodial parasite and the classification of antimalarial drugs. So I will discuss the drug description like this way. The first is action of a drug. The action of a drugs to the malarial parasite and to the other body system. In the malarial parasite, it affects to the which stage of the life cycle of a malarial parasite in the human being. For example, liver stage, that is the action on the hypnozoite or pre-erythrocytic phase of the plasmodia, or the action on the red blood cell stage, that is the schizontecital drugs, or the action on the gametes, that is the asexual form of a merozoites circulating in the bloodstream. So depending upon the which phase it affects, it will be utilized for the different purpose. For example, in clinical cure or radical cure, or to prevent the relapse or the prophylaxis. So in which type of a therapy it will be utilized depends upon on which stage of the plasmodial life cycle it will affect. Second point is it effective to the which species of the plasmodia. It is effective against to the vivax, falciparum ovale or malaria. That is important for the determining the drug of choice in different types of plasmodial infection. Second is action on the other body system. We expect a minimal action on the other body system because it will consider as a side effects and it will decreases the risk benefit ratio. Third one is mechanism of action, that by which mechanism it will kill the plasmodia. Third is resistance, the mechanism of a resistance and which species get resistance to the which drug. Pharmacokinetic, that is the important parameters that associated with the adjustment of a dose as well as safety issues. Then dose and adverse drug reaction, and finally the clinical status of the drugs in the current guideline. The first drug is chloroquine. It is the oldest drug after the discovery of quinine. It is a mainstay of antimalarial chemotherapy. It is chemically the quinoline compounds. During the World War II, there is a series of 4-aminoquinoline compounds were tested by the experimental research group in the field trial in the United States. And the chloroquine turns out the most promising antimalarial drug since 1943. The next is mechanism of action. It binds to the hemoglobin inside the parasite food vacuole in the infected RBC, and it prevents the heme polymerization. And the toxic hemozoin is produced that leads to membrane damage of a parasite and ultimately killing of the parasite. So, how the parasite survive inside the red blood cell? Inside the red blood cell, the parasite causes the digestion of a hemoglobin. By the help of a proteolytic enzyme, it is converted into amino acid and protoporphyrin. This amino acid is pumped back and utilized by the parasite, while in case of a protoporphyrin, the heme, it is undergo the polymerization and it is converted into unactive hemozoin compounds. That is the polymerized hemozoin compound. Now let's see how chloroquine will interfere in the heme metabolism. So chloroquine, it is a basic in the nature. So in the bloodstream, it is in the neutral form and freely diffuses selectively into the infected RBC. It gets concentrated 100 times higher into the infected RBC as compared to the non-infected RBC. After entering into the red blood cell, it is selectively get concentrated into the food vacuoles of the malarial parasite. Inside the food vacuole, there is an acidic environment. So, from the food vacuole, it is unable to diffuse. Now, what the next is, it interferes with the heme degradation. It binds to the protoporphyrin TAN and it prevents the polymerization. So, the toxic hemozoin is produced. Instead of a polymerization and the unreactive hemozoin, there is a toxic hemozoin is produces. This toxic hemozoin will produces oxidative damage to the membrane that ultimately results into the lysis of the parasitic membrane and killing of a parasite. Now the next is pharmacological action. The pharmacological action, the action on the protozoa and action on the other body system. The first one is the anti-protozoal action. The action on the plasmodia, that is anti-malarial activity. It is a schizonticidial drugs. That means it affects to the red blood cell stages of the plasmodia. It is a very rapidly acting and it is effective against all the species of the malaria plasmodia. So that is the best for the control of a clinical attack, that is the clinical cure. It has no action onto the pre-erythrocytic phase, hypnozoid or the gametocidal action. Apart from the malaria, it affects to the other protozoal infection, that is the giardiasis as well as extraintestinal amoebiasis, that will be discussed in the respective chapters in the later. Another action, the action on the other body system, that it has a prominent action on the cardiovascular system, particularly when it is given to the intravenous route. It depresses the myocardium and it has a direct relaxant effects on the vascular smooth muscle. So there is a chances of hypotension, particularly in the injectable route. Other actions are the antihistaminic, local irritant and local anesthetic, that is exhausted again only during the injection formulation, and the most important one is the anti-inflammatory. So right now in the clinical therapeutic uses, apart from the protozoal infection, it has a place to control the inflammation in certain chronic inflammatory disease condition like the rheumatoid arthritis. Now the chloroquine resistance. The chloroquine resistance among the P. falciparum has been very slow in developing in India, but it is a significant acquired resistance and very fast to develop was noted in the P. falciparum, not only in the India but Southeast Asia, China, Africa and South America. You can see the red color marks of a chloroquine resistance spread among the different countries. In India, the significant higher percentage of acquired resistance of the chloroquine in the P. falciparum was noted in the northeast part, Odisha and the Karnataka. Now the mechanism of a resistance by efflux transporter. This transporter is encoded by the gene that is PFCRT, P. falciparum chloroquine resistance transfer. This gene will produce efflux transporter. This efflux transporter will cause pump back of a chloroquine from the food vacuoles and outside the parasite and spare the hemoglobin from the action of chloroquine. So the important pharmacokinetic parameters about the chloroquine is it has a high affinity for the melanin and nuclear chromatin. It gets tightly bound to the tissue constituents and it gets concentrated to the various organs, that is a lung, liver, kidney and leukocyte or the skin as well as in the spleen. So it has a wide tissue distribution as well as long T half-life because of tightly bound to the tissue protein. It is a selectively accumulate into the retina and because of that it is responsible for ocular toxicity on the prolonged use. The half-life of a chloroquine is a 1 to 2 days. The tight tissue bindings, because of that it will slowly release from the tissue and the blood circulation. So the terminal half-life is about 1 to 2 months. Now the adverse drug reaction of the chloroquine. Taken in the proper doses, the chloroquine is an extraordinary safe drug, but however it has a safety margin narrow. So repeated doses is given by the parenteral route that may result into the toxic manifestation. At the standard doses of the chloroquine given orally, it produces the side effects like gastrointestinal disturbance, that is a very frequent side effects and unpleasant. The epigastric pain, nausea, vomiting, and anorexia, they are the disturbances, they are the manifestation of the gastrointestinal disturbance. Then sometimes the uncontrollable itching, the pruritus and the itching that is more common in the dark skinned people, and the headache, and there is a blurred vision and difficulty in accommodation. So these are the side effects are obvious at the drug given by the oral route. If the drug is used for the prophylaxis purpose or it is used for the other than the malarial reason, for example in the anti-inflammatory purpose in the chronic disorders, then the other adverse drug reaction appears. So myopathy, loss of hearing and the graying of hair, then photoallergy and rashes, sometimes the Stevens-Johnson syndrome, Then mental disturbances, it causes the central nervous system related side effects, that is convulsion, confusion, and sometimes leads to the coma too. And on prolonged period, it binds with the retinal proteins and deposits into the cornea and causes the loss of vision, but it is reversible on the stoppage of a drugs. So these are the adverse effects associated with the prolonged use of the high dose of a chloroquine therapy. So the question of safety in the pregnancy. The chloroquine is neither abortifacient nor teratogenic, so it is safe in pregnancy. So it should be given to control the malaria or the treatment of a malaria in the pregnancy. Now the question is, who are at the risk or cautious to receive the chloroquine therapy? That is the liver damage, the patient having a neurological disease, as the chloroquine produces the CNS related side effect, then retinal damage, it already deposits in the retina and produces a disturbance in the vision. Rarely it causes hemolysis and hematological related side effects, and it is a highly irritant, so it produces the gastric disturbance. So severe gastrointestinal tract related disease related patients should not tolerate the chloroquine. So majority you can see that the list of adverse drug reaction, that is a cautious to use, because already existing situation will exaggerate the adverse drug reaction of the chloroquine. The next is the drug-drug interaction. The chloroquine should never combine with the mefloquine because it produces the same set of adverse drug reaction and other drugs that having the action on the cardiovascular system, that is the amiodarone or other antiarrhythmic drugs. Along with the chloroquine, it will exaggerate the cardiovascular drug related side effects, mostly the arrhythmia. This is again same picture of adverse effects of the chloroquine. You can see that here epigastric disturbance, pruritus, and disturbances in vision and the headache. This is the repetition slide for the showing the adverse drug reaction of the chloroquine. Now the dose of a chloroquine. The chloroquine is available as a chloroquine phosphate. The total strength of a tablet is 250 milligram. It contains the 150 milligram base. Means the active ingredient is a 150 milligram. Rest of the 100 milligram is either the filler, binders or the coating that weighs about the 100 and total is the 250 milligram. It is available in the form of a tablet. The tablet strength is a 250 milligram or double strength there is a 500 milligram. And it is available in the form of a syrup. The strength of a syrup is 100 milligram per 10 ml oral syrup. Now the next is the therapeutic uses and the regimen of a chloroquine into the malaria. That it is used in the treatment of uncomplicated malaria of P. vivax and the P. falciparum both, but there is a chloroquine sensitive malaria. You start, there is a 3 days of a treatment is there. Then the very first day 600 milligram of the base. Here there is a base of the base is considered as a 150. So there is a 4 tablets. Regarding the 150 milligram in the one tablet, 600 require the 4 tablets, or there is a weight based formula that is a 10 milligram per kilogram should be given on the day 1. After the 8 hour on the same day, the dose is reduced to half, that is the 300 milligram or the 500 milligram per kilogram base, means 2 tablet. So on the first day, total dose is a 6 tablet, 600 followed by the 300. On the next second day and the third day, the consecutive 2 days, there is a 150 milligram 2 tablets. That is a 300 milligram per day on the second day and 300 milligram per day on the third day. So total 1500 milligram doses of chloroquine is given for the 3 days therapy of uncomplicated malaria. Now the question is, why the 4 tablet stats is given together? Do you recall any kind of a treatment where the 4 dose of any drug is given together at a time stacked? It is known as a loading dose. What is the requirement of a loading dose? Why we have to give loading dose? Which drugs required to start with the loading dose? That answers all our lies within the fundaments about the pharmacokinetic. See, chloroquine, what is the half-life of a chloroquine? That is a 1 to 2 days, and terminal half-life is about 1 week. So to achieve the steady state concentration and optimum therapeutic effect, the 4 half-life of a drug should be weighted. So The terminal half-life of chloroquine is a 1 week. Should we wait for a control of a malaria for the 1 month? 4 half-life means 4 weeks for the 1 month? No. So to cut short down and to achieve the fast steady state level, the 4 dose is given together. That is the logic of giving the loading dose in the chloroquine state at a time. Therapeutic uses of chloroquine. First is malaria. It is a drug of choice for the clinical cure of a P. vivax ovale and malaria, but it is not suitable for the P. falciparum malaria because the P. falciparum malaria, falciparum plasmodia will very rapidly develop the resistance to the chloroquine. Other protozoal infection, the hepatic amoebiasis and the extra-intestinal amoebiasis as well as giardiasis. Apart from malaria, it is utilized to control the inflammation as an anti-inflammatory purpose. It is utilized in the chronic inflammatory disorders, that is the rheumatoid arthritis, and to control the acute inflammatory reaction into the lepra reaction. So to control the manifestation of the lepra reaction, the chloroquine is utilized. Sometimes it is utilized for the controlling the photogenic reaction as well as the discoid lupus erythematosus. That is a very effective in case of a DLE as compared to the SLE, and it causes the symptomatic relief in the infectious mononucleosis. So another drugs on the same chemical compounds, 4-aminoquinolines along with the chloroquine. There is a amodiaquine and piperaquine. The hydroxychloroquine, that is a similar property to chloroquine, but it is a less toxic. So hydroxychloroquine compound is preferred for the anti-inflammatory purpose in the chronic inflammatory disorders. Another one is amodiaquine. How the amodiaquine is superior to chloroquine? It is effective against chloroquine resistance P. falciparum. So it is basically used for the control of a P. falciparum infection, but all the P. falciparum malaria is nowadays treated with the artemisinin combination therapy. So amodiaquine is combined with the artesunettes. The combination of artesunettes and amodiaquine is US FDA approved for the treatment of a P. falciparum malaria. Same way the piperaquine, the third derivatives of the 4-aminoquinolines, that is also used for the treatment of a P. falciparum, and it combined with the artemisinin derivatives. So apart from the chloroquine, the rest of the amodiaquine and piperaquine, they are used for the treatment of a P. falciparum malaria, not a single but in the combination with artesunate or artemisinin derivative. So these two drugs are used for the combining with the artemisinin derivative. So second drug is quinine. Again, the oldest antimalarial compound. It is obtained from the plant, so it is the plant source. It is a bitter alkaloids obtained from the bark of cinchona tree. Here it is a picture of a cinchona tree, and here it is a picture of bark. This tree is very commonly found into the Central America, South America, and the Iceland of Caribbean, and the west coast of the South Africa. It exists in the two isomer, levoisomer and dextroisomer. Levoisomer has a strong antimalarial action. It is a wonder of medicinal plants in the older era, while the dextroisomer, it has a prominent action on the cardiovascular system and it exerts the antiarrhythmic action. So D-isomers, to differentiate from the levo, quinine, the D-isomer, the spelling the D is added. So that is the quinidine. So when D is there, it indicates the dextroisomer and it is utilized for the treatment of arrhythmia in the cardiovascular system. Now the next is mechanism of action. Similar to the chloroquine, it inhibits the heme metabolism. It is a basic in nature, accumulate in the food vacuoles, interfere with the heme polymerization, and don't allow to format the polyzoan. Don't allow to format the hemazoan. Instead of a hemazoan, the quinine heme complex is generated, which causes the damage to the parasitic membrane and ultimate lysis of the parasite. Now the pharmacological action. Similar to the chloroquine, it has action on the malarial parasite as well as action on the other body system. The first we discuss the antimalarial action. Regards to the antimalarial action, out of the 3 stages of the cell cycle in the human being, it has an action on the schizanticides. It is the fastest schizontecital drugs, act on the second stage. It affects to all the species, particularly the P. falciparum malaria resistance to the chloroquine and the multi-drug resistance. That's the importance of a quinine, that quinine is effective against the chloroquine and the multi-drug resistance P. falciparum. And that's the reason it is utilized for the termination of acute attack or the clinical attack of malaria. Apart from that, it kills the gametes of Vivax, ovale and malaria. That means once quinine is prescribed, there is no need of other gametocidal drugs for the radical cure of a treatment. Now the second is a systemic action of a quinine. That is the local irritant and anesthetic property. The quinine is intentionally bitter and irritant drugs. So it is given by whatever route, this property will produce as a side effect. For example, if it is given by orally, the gastric irritancy results into nausea, vomiting and epigastric discomfort. If it is given intramuscularly, it produces a pain and local necrosis, muscle necrosis as well as necrosis of intima, resulting into the thrombosis on the intravenous administration of a quinine. Apart from this local irritant property, other systemic action are weak analgesic and antipyretic, that is useful in the treatment of malaria. It decreases the power of a skeletal muscle fiber and it decreases the blood sugar. Particularly when quinine given intravenously, it causes the fall into the sugar level by enhancing the insulin release from the pancreas. On the IV administration, the cardiovascular depression is more common. It causes a fall in blood pressure as well as antiarrhythmic property. So, pre-existing cardiovascular risk patients should be cautious to receive quinine therapy intravenously. At very high doses, it affects to the hearing and vision. So, this all the action of a quinine account in the list of adverse drug reaction. Next is a pharmacokinetic. Important pharmacokinetic features of a quinine is half-life. Half-life is only 10 to 12 hours. It is a non-cumulative in nature. Almost quinoline antimalarial compound having the longest terminal half-life, week to few days to week. But quinine is the exception that it is a non-cumulative in the nature. Regard to resistance, certain areas of the India developed quinine resistance in the P. falciparum by enhanced translation and the mutation of the PFMDR gene. There is evidence of a partial cross resistance with the mefloquine. So, the patient having the history of a quinine should not receive the mefloquine, or mefloquine and quinine should not be combined together. Now the next is adverse drug reaction of a quinine. The toxicity of a quinine is very high and the dose related. So what is the importance of a dose related adverse event? As you increase the dose, there increases the chances of appearance of the adverse drug reaction. So it is a predictable adverse drug reaction and it is under the physician control. By controlling or minimizing the dose, adverse drug reaction can be controlled. The fatal dose of a quinine per day, it is 8 to 10 gram per day. The usual therapeutic dose of a quinine is a 600 milligram thrice a day. That means 1.8 gram per day, and that is for the 7 days. So watch for the adverse drug reaction for such a therapeutic doses of a quinine. At the single high dose or the higher therapeutic dose for the few days results into a set of adverse drug reaction that is known as a synchronism. So what is a synchronism? Ringing in the ears and difficulty in hearing as well as visual defects. So hearing problem and the visual defects is due to direct neurotoxicity and the constriction of a retinal and auditory blood vessel. Vertigo as well as headache, mental confusion due to irritant property, there is nausea and vomiting and diarrhea and the flushing and the marked perspiration. So at the higher doses as well as sometime idiosyncratic reaction of the synchronism with the single doses can also appear, and after the stoppage of a drugs the reaction subside. If the drug is given parenterally at the higher doses intravenously, there is a chances of cardiovascular adverse effects. The most prominent is cardiac arrhythmia. In the cardiac arrhythmia, watch for the QT prolongation. If it is a greater than 25% of the original, there is an urgent need of a stoppage of a drug. The next is black water fever. Occasionally, the quinine produces hemolysis in the pregnancy, or there is a P. falciparum malaria, results into the breakdown of RBC in the vasculature, and the free hemoglobin can filter through the kidney and it produces a kidney damage and the hemoglobin urea. That is known as a black water fever. The black water fever is a complication arising into the P. falciparum malaria patient receiving the quinine therapy, still higher doses, results into the poisoning that leads to the suppression of vital, that is a delirium, tachypnea, hypotension, respiratory depression, pulmonary edema, and the drastic fall in the blood sugar level. So these are the set of adverse drug reaction of quinine. The next is therapeutic uses of quinine. The first and foremost important use of quinine is the treatment of P. falciparum malaria. The clinical varieties of the P. falciparum malaria is one is uncomplicated resistant P. falciparum malaria. So here the mild variety, that is not the complicated one, but it is a chloroquine resistance. So P. falciparum chloroquine resistance uncomplicated malaria is treated with the oral quinine, while severe variety, that is the complicated malaria or the severe malaria, or maybe the so-called the cerebral malaria, which requires the intravenous administration of quinine. Nowadays, the drug of a choice in either cases, uncomplicated resistance P. falciparum as well as complicated and the severe P. falciparum malaria, the drug of a choice is artemisinin combination therapy. The quinine is a second choice, that is the alternative to artemisinin combination therapy, because there are so many drawbacks of quinine. First is it has a narrow therapeutic index, just increases the dose associated with so many systemic side effects, and the higher amount of a dose required for a 7 days of a longer duration of a course. While in compared to the quinine, there is artemisinin combination therapy having the more advantages than the quinine, that it is a faster acting, very rapidly clearing of a parasite, so it is a better effective, and it produces minimal side effects, so better tolerated and accepted by the patient, and there is a convenient dosage administration. 3 days of a therapy is required. So conclusion is in P. falciparum malaria, whether it is uncomplicated resistance P. falciparum or whether it is a complicated severe malaria, the drug of a choice is as ACT therapy, while the quinine is an alternative to artemisinin combination therapy. It can be also used in the PVAVX malaria, that is a chloroquine resistance, and it is a drug of a choice in the treatment of PVAVX or P. falciparum malaria in the first trimester. So these are the use of the quinine in malaria. I am repeating this, that first is P. falciparum malaria, that is the resistance as well as there is a severe variety. Second one is chloroquine resistance PVAVX malaria, and the third one is the malaria in the pregnancy, particularly in the first trimester of the duration of a pregnancy. Apart from that, another uses of the quinine is myotonia congenita and the nocturnal muscle cramps. Now the next is the doses of a quinine in the malaria. The first one is uncomplicated P. falciparum malaria, that is treated with the oral quinine 600 milligram or the 10 milligram per kilogram, that is given 8 hourly, so 3 times in a day for the 7 days. The quinine alone is not suffice, it has to be added or supplemented by the another drugs, that is either doxycycline or the clindamycin. So quinine plus doxycycline 100 milligram daily. Or if doxycycline cannot be given, then the quinine should be combined with the tablet clindamycin 600 milligram 12 hourly for the 7 days. So uncomplicated P. falciparum malaria required the 7 days of oral treatment of a quinine plus either doxycycline or there is a clindamycin. Now the next is severe malaria or the complicated malaria, or so-called the cerebral malaria. What is the dose of a quinine? It should be given intravenously, infusion form. As it is a highly irritant having the more systemic action, so it should be given in the infusion form. So quinine dihydrochloride 20 milligram per kilogram, there is a loading dose. Initial should be the twice, that is a loading dose. that is diluted in the 10 ml of the 5% dextrose or the dextrose saline solution, and that should be infused over the 4 hours. In the next 4 hours, the dose should be reduced from 20 milligram to 10 milligram per kilogram. That is a maintenance dose, that is for the next 4 hours. In case of an adult, it should be stretched to the 4 hours. In case of a children, it should be given in the 2 hours. So such a repetition of a maintenance dose every 8 hours till the patient can swallow. Once the patient starts the treatment, rest of the 7 days oral treatment of a quinine should be completed for a complete duration of 7 days. The next drug is mefloquine. It is chemically quinoline methanol. The action is, it is also the fast-acting erythrocytic schizonticidial drug, but its action is slower than the two primary antimalarial drugs, that is the chloroquine and the quinine. The importance of this drug during the World War II is reinvestigated because its effectiveness against the chloroquine sensitive as well as chloroquine resistance P. falciparum malaria. The single dose can clear the parasitemia and control the fever in both immune as well as non-immune person. Now the mechanism of action, that is similar to the chloroquine, but the site of action is a cytoplasm. It don't accumulate into the food vacuole, but it exerts its toxic effects on the plasmodial membrane and leads to the same changes and killing of a parasite. Pharmacokinetic, again the similar to the chloroquine, that tight tissue binding protein plus additional enterohepatic circulation leads to the longest half-life of the quinoline drugs. That is a 2 to 3 weeks. So it is cumulative in the nature. Now the adverse drug reaction. The dose related and the mild adverse drug reactions are the gastrointestinal upset, that is a nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain. The more serious is a sinus bradycardia and the QT prolongation, and dose related major concern side effect is a neuropsychiatric disturbance, that is the altered balance and the sensorium and the anxiety, horrible dreams, difficulty in operating the machineries. So these are all the subside or the discontinuation of the drugs within the 1 to 3 weeks. The rarely hematological, hepatic and the cutaneous toxicity. So you can see that mefloquine having the same set of the adverse drug reaction, that is the cardiovascular side effects, then neuropsychiatric disturbances and hematological, hepatic and cutaneous toxicity. So there is a likely chances of a drug-drug interaction with the chloroquine and quinine. When these drugs combine together, there is a potential danger of a cardiovascular side effects, that is a QT prolongation and the cardiac arrest. So the patient having the history of uptake of a chloroquine or quinine should not receive the mefloquine drug before the 12 hour of a gap. And the cardiovascular risk patient and the patient having the history or the disease of a central nervous system related disorders, they are the contraindication for the mefloquine drug administration. It is safe during the pregnancy but should avoid during the first trimester. Now the therapeutic uses. In other countries, Western countries, particularly in travelers, it is combined with artemisinin derivatives. The single mefloquine is not used, but for the control of uncomplicated P. falciparum malaria, when the P. falciparum is resistant to both chloroquine as well as chloroquine plus the sulfa drug, it is used in that resistance P. falciparum malaria along with the artemisinin derivatives in the other country. In the India, because of schizonticidial activity and longest half-life, it is not and because of the set of adverse drug reaction, it is not suitable for a clinical cure, but it is a best suited therapy for once a week, and that is the reason that mefloquine is a drug of a choice for the suppressive prophylaxis among the travelers. The travelers who are likely to develop or they are traveling into the malarial endemic region, particularly the multi-drug resistance P. falciparum malaria. So they should receive the suppressive prophylaxis of a mefloquine 250 mg per way. The drug should be started the week before the visiting the area, continues during the stay time, and that should be continued 3 to 4 hours after leaving that endemic zone. So this is about the mefloquine. Almost all the features are similar to the chloroquine, but it is effective against to the resistant strain, and longest half-life make it suitable for the suppressive prophylaxis. The next drugs fourth is primaquine, that is the chemically belong to 8 aminoquinoline compounds. So all the 4 aminoquinoline compounds are effective against the erythrocytic schizonticide, right? But here the 8 aminoquinoline compound, the primaquine, these two drugs, primaquine and tefenoquine, they are poor erythrocytic schizonticidal drugs, but they are having a marked effect on the primary and secondary hepatic phases of malarial parasite. So here you can see in the picture the primary hepatic phase, that is the pre-erythrocytic phase. After the mosquito bite, sporozoite undergo the liver development, that is in the pre-erythrocyte cycle. So that is the primary hepatic phase. After merozoite, there is a red blood cell cycle that results into the schizont, and the few of the schizonts again go back to the liver, and it is converted into the hypnozoite, that is known as also the exoerythrocytic or the secondary phase of the parasite. So primaquine having the action on both primary hepatic phase as well as there is a secondary hepatic phase or the exoerythrocytic phase or the hypnozoites. So in P. vivax and P. ovale, these hypnozoites remains in the dormant stage in the liver. After the few months or the year, they can capable to produce a reinfection within the blood, within the body, and it gives rise to the reinfection, that is known as a relapse. So the drug utilized for the clinical cure plus there is a drug utilized for the secondary hepatic phase or the hypnozoites will causes the clinical cure plus prevention of a relapse, that is known as a radical cure. So the drugs are effective against the hypnozoite that prevent the relapse, that is included in the radical cure. Now the next is, apart from this exo and pre-erythrocytic phase, it is highly effective against the gametocide. So decreases the generation of a gametocide will also helpful to cut down the transmission of gametes from the human to mosquito. So it interrupts the transmission chain. Again, I am repeating that it is a poor erythrocytic schizonticidal drugs but marked the effect on the primary and the secondary hepatic phase, that is a hypnozoite, prevent the relapse, and it has action on the gamete that prevents the human to mosquito transmission chain. Now the next is mechanism of action. Again, the 4 aminoquinolines, all the drugs having the action on the interfere with the heme metabolism, but primaquine, it produces a different action, that intraparasitic toxic oxidative metabolite generation. Here you can see the primaquine. The primaquine is converted inside the parasite into the electrophiles, that is a free moving electrons. These are responsible for a generation of the free radicals, and these free radical will causes interruption of the mitochondrial chain, lipid peroxidation, and damage to the plasmodial membrane, and ultimately lysis of the plasmodia. The resistance, the primaquine do not acquire any resistance. Now with regard to pharmacokinetic, the half-life of a primaquine is a 6 to 8 hours and it is a non-cumulative. Now the adverse drug reaction of a primaquine. The usual dose of a primaquine is associated with the GIT upset and uneasiness in the chest. The GIT upset can be minimized by the taking the drug with meal. The most important toxic side effects of primaquine, that is a dose-related hemolysis that results into the methemoglobinemia, tachypnea, and the cyanosis. This is the hemolysis is due to its oxidant property. Generally, normal individual, they can tolerate even a higher dose, 60 mg per day. There is a minimal chances of hemolysis. But the person who are deficient in the G6PD enzyme, they are the most susceptible to develop these side effects even at the lower doses. That is the 50 to 30 mg per day. They can have the hemolysis side effects. Why it is so? See in the figure. During the conversion of a glucose to 6-phosphogluconate, the essential enzyme is required, that is a glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase. During this conversion, the oxidized NADP is converted into the reduced NADPH. This reduced NADPH is essential for generation of a reduced glutathione. This reduced glutathione will prevent the hemoglobin oxidation. It maintains into the HB in ferrous states, and it maintains the intracellular homeostatic environments of the red blood cell and prevent there is a lysis of a cell. But in case of a G6PD deficient enzyme, there is a less availability of a reduced NADPH, and thereby there is a less availability of a reduced glutathione. So the oxidant property drug can easily causes the breakdown of a hemoglobin, and thereby there is a red blood cell lysis. So the glucose 6 PD deficient person are more prone to develop hemolysis even at the lower dose of a primaquine. Who are the other people who are more susceptible to the hemolysis that is induced by the primaquine? That is a pregnancy, rheumatoid arthritis patient, patient of a systemic lupus erythematosus, and acutely ill patient. There are the more chances to develop hemolysis. The passage of a dark urine, that is the alarming sign to stop the further primaquine administration. So before the start of a primaquine therapy, it is recommended to do the spot diagnosis of a G6PD deficiency. If the person is G6PD deficient, there is a contraindication to the primaquine therapy. Other contraindication of a primaquine, that is a pregnancy, as the fetus are deficit in the G6PD enzyme. So this is about the most important and toxic side effects of a primaquine, that is the hemolysis. Now the therapeutic uses of a primaquine. The primaquine is utilized for the radical cure. So when there is a need of a radical cure, the radical cure is needed in case of a relapse of malaria. The schizonticidal drugs will taking care of red blood cell, and it controls the acute attack of malaria. But that people having the exoerythrocytic phase, there is a hypnozoid secondary hepatic phase. After the clinical attacks, there may be a chances of a development of a relapse in a few months or year later. So how to prevent that stage? So drug acting on the exoerythrocytic phase and the gametocyte can bring about the complete clearing of plasmodia from the bloodstream. So radical cure means to control the secondary hepatic phases. So primaquine having a strong action on the exoerythrocytic phase, hypnozoids as well as gametocyte, that is the drug of a choice for the radical cure. The 15 milligram per day for the 14 days, 2 weeks, it is required for the radical cure in the P. vivax malaria. That should be started after the completion of a clinical cure. As the P. vivax and P. ovala having the exoerythrocytic phase, they require a longer duration of a treatment. While in case of a P. falciparum, there is a no exoerythrocytic phase, so the single dose 45 milligram is sufficient for the radical cure. Even recent guidelines of WHO suggest the lower dose of a single time, that is a 15 milligram dose, is a suffice for the radical cure in case of a P. falciparum malaria. So this is about all primaquine. Second drugs of the 8-aminoquinoline compound, that is a tafenoquine. The tafenoquine, that is very similar to the primaquine. The similar mechanism of action, that is intraparasitic oxidative free radical generation, action on the exoerythrocytic as well as the secondary phase of hypnozoids, and the somewhat action on the gamete. Again, the adverse drug reaction profile is similar, that is a gastrointestinal upset and the hemolysis. But the tafenoquine is differ from the pharmacokinetic. The primaquine as an anti-relapse drugs in the radical cure requires 14 days of a daily treatment. For such a longer duration of a treatment is the biggest hurdle in implementing the anti-relapse therapy in case of a P. vivax. So the tafenoquine is being developed a single dose anti-relapse drugs for the P. vivax malaria. So half-life of a tafenoquine, that is a 14 to 19 days, almost 2 to 3 weeks. So It is a famous as a single dose anti-relapse drugs for the P. vivax malaria. It has action on the exoerythrocytic phase as well as in gametes, so that is a superior for preventing the relapse only. But the parasitemia clearing action is a very slow, so it needs another drug. In the India, it is under the phase 3 trial approved. The 800 milligram of a tefenoquine single dose should be given over the 1 to 3 days along with the 3 days of a chloroquine therapy, achieved the 100% of a relapse prevention. Such a phase 3 trial also carried out in other countries too along with the chloroquine, and in November 2017 it is submitted as a new drug approval for the marketing. So this is about the tefenoquine. What to remember about the tefenoquine? It is a very similar to the primaquine. Only the difference is that longest half-life, that is a 14 to 19 days. So only single drug required for the relapse. So it is likely to emerge as a single dose radical curative therapy. The last one drug is a proguanil. The action is it acts very slowly on the erythrocytic stage of the P. vivax and the P. falciparum. The most important part about the proguanil that it inhibits the pre-erythrocytic phase of the both P. vivax as well as P. falciparum. The gamete exposed to the proguanil that failed to develop properly in the mosquito. So exactly we cannot say it has a gametocidal action, but it surely help into the cut down of the transmission. The mechanism of action, the biguanides converted into the cycloguanil active compounds that inhibit the plasmodial dihydrofolate reductase, and it develop the cross resistance with the similar mechanism of with the drugs that having the same mechanism of action. Adverse effects. It produces a mild abdominal symptoms, vomiting and occasional stomatitis and mouth ulcers. Rarely the hematuria, rashes and transient loss of the hair is reported. Use. It is not drugs nowadays for the controlling of acute attack, but it is used for the causal prophylaxis. It is used particularly in the travelers, and the combination with the atovaquone by the western travelers visiting the endemic area, and that endemic area is a resistance to the chloroquine or the multi-drug resistance endemic area. So primaquine and proguanil, with these two drugs having the action on the pre-erythrocytic phase of the P. falciparum and the P. vivax, and these drugs are only in the list of prevention of a development of a malaria in the persons who are traveling into the endemic region. So that is used for the causal prophylaxis in the dose of 100 to 200 milligram per day. So till now we have discussed chloroquine, quinine, mefloquine, these three schizoanticidal drugs, then two gametocidal drugs, that is primaquine and tafenoquine, and the lastly there is a proguanil. Oh, feeling sleepy? Exhaustive contents or detail of a drugs, right? Take a break and get refreshed and come back for the revision of this all the drugs. So here take a look the summary of all the 5 drugs that is we discussed in the previous slides. I'm going in the very brief. That is the mechanism of action is the first. All the first 3 drugs are interfere with the metabolism. The last 2 drugs they produces the intermediate oxidative free radical generation that damage to the parasite. Now the action. All the 3 are schizoanticidal drugs. First 2 is a fast. Mefloquine is slower than these 2. Now the species. Here the sensitive to the both P. vivax and P. falciparum. Here it is a sensitive to the P. falciparum resistance to the chloroquine. So spectrum is enhanced. While mefloquine, it is a schizoanticidal and it is effective against the P. vivax, P. falciparum and chloroquine and multi-drug resistance P. falciparum. So you can see that spectrum of a species affected by the drug is enhanced gradually. From the chloroquine, the chloroquine resistance and multi-drug resistance P. falciparum can be affected by the mefloquine. These drugs are the primary and secondary secondary phases of the hepatic phase and the gametocidal drugs. Other action, the chloroquine and quinine having the other action, that is the most prominent action on the cardiovascular system and central nervous system is both in together. Here anti-inflammatory, antihistaminic property, one is accounted for the therapeutic purpose, another is for the side effects. Here the other action is the most prominent one as the local anesthetic and the irritant property. Now with the pharmacokinetics, among these three drugs, all the drugs are cumulative in nature. So chloroquine having the half-life is a 3 to 10 days, while the quinine is a non-cumulative, it has a short half-life, that is a 10 to 12 hours, while mefloquine having the longest half-life among all the quinoline congeners. Because tight tissue binding protein plus enterohepatic circulation contributed to the 21 days of a half-life. Now the primaquine and tafenoquine, both are aminoquinolines. The primaquine having a short half-life, 6 to 8 hours. That's a reason that it required for a longer period of a time for the radical cure, and it is a non-cumulative in nature. That is the advantages developed in the better pharmacokinetic in case of a tafenoquine, that it is a cumulative and the half-life is 2 to 3 weeks. So that is the purpose of a single dose anti-relapse drugs in the tafenoquine. Now the adverse drug reaction. Adverse drug reaction is the most prominent gastrointestinal system, CNS, eye, as well as hematological and cutaneous reaction. Here the same list of drugs that is under the heading of a shinkonism. Again the mefloquine, there is a QT prolongation and sinus bradycardia and disturbed sense of altorium, disturbed neuropsychiatric problems. So you can see here that CNS, CVS and hearing and the eye vision, that is the most common among all the three. CNS and cardiovascular system and the central nervous system disorders related side effects among these three are there. So likely chances of a drug-drug interaction or the potential toxicity occur when it is a co-administered. So chloroquine should not be combined with a quinine or a mefloquine, or mefloquine should not be repeated 12 hours before the gap of previous uptake of either of the two drugs in the patient. Primaquine and tafenoquine, both will produce the same set of adverse drug reaction, that is a gastrointestinal tract upset and the hemolysis. Cautious or the contraindication is a G6PD deficient person. Now the therapeutic use. First two drugs are effective for the clinical cure of a P. vivax malaria as well as P. falciparum malaria. As almost P. falciparum malaria develop the resistance to the chloroquine, they should receive the quinine. Nowadays, the latest first-line drugs by the National Vector-Borne Disease Control Program is more safer option is artemisinin combination therapy, that we'll see discussed in the next lecture. But right now, we can list out that quinine is an alternative to chloroquine resistance P. falciparum uncomplicated as well as complicated and severe malaria. Same way it is in the list of a chloroquine resistance P. vivax malaria, and it is a drug of a choice in the control of a malaria in the pregnancy, particularly in the first trimester. Now the mefloquine. As I said that mefloquine having the much adverse effects profile and it is a cumulative in nature, so it is not suited for the clinical cure, but once a week therapy for a suppressive prophylaxis to prevent the development of a malaria when in the travelers approaching to the endemic region of a malaria. It is a safe in a pregnancy. Primaquine and tafenoquine both are used for the radical cure. The problem with the primaquine that the chances of adverse drug reaction for a 14 days of a longer duration of a treatment. So the tafenoquine is better than the primaquine in the form of it is required in the single dose for the radical cure. So this is all about the brief summary and the comparable features of the first 5 important anti-malarial drugs. Now we'll talk about the remaining anti-malarial drugs. These all the drugs are targeted toward the treatment of P. falciparum malaria or the resistance P. falciparum malaria. The major concern of a treatment of a malaria is not the P. vivax but the P. falciparum, because it has a two problem. One is very fast development of a resistance to the oldest standard anti-malarial drugs, and second is it associated with the complication and it results into the fatal outcome. So almost all these drugs are targeted towards the resistance of the previously discussed drugs to the P. falciparum. The first one is pyrimethamine. The pyrimethamine is more potent than the proguanil and it directly inhibits the dihydrofolate reductase of the group. But when it is a given single, it develops a very rapid development of a resistance. So it is always to prefer to combine with the other sulfa drugs. So sulfonamide and pyrimethamine combination, that is the supraadditive synergistic combination because of a sequential block. It produces good schizontecital effects on the P. falciparum malaria, and use is restricted for the single dose curative treatment of P. falciparum malaria, that is in the strength of sulfonamide 1500 mg plus 75 mg of a pyrimethamine for the uncomplicated P. falciparum malaria in the region where the other drugs are resistant. The prophylactic use of a sulfonamide and pyrimethamine use is restricted into the second and third trimester of a pregnancy, and it should be given in 2 to 3 doses. If you remember the sulfa drugs chapters, you can see that pregnancy is a contraindication. But what is the controversy is here? The sulfonamide and pyrimethamine is safer in the second and third trimester of a pregnancy. Now the next is a doxycycline. Doxycycline is a broad spectrum antibiotic. So what do you get by the broad spectrum antibiotic? It effective against the more than one type of organism, that is a bacteria, atypical organism as well as plasmodia. It has a strong erythrocytic schizonticidal action against all the species, all the resistant species of a P. falciparum, that resistance to the chloroquine, resistance to the mefloquine, and the resistance to the sulfa and pyrimethamine P. falciparum strain. So it is this is used for the treatment of this resistance P. falciparum infection. In case of a prophylaxis in the endemic region, sometime it is given along with the quinine. The 7 days of a quinine therapy is associated with the quinine plus doxycycline 7 days combination therapy in case of a chloroquine resistance malarial region. Now the clindamycin. It is a second choice of antibiotic where the doxycycline is contraindicated. There is a role of a clindamycin for the treatment of a multi-drug resistance P. falciparum malaria or a chloroquine resistance P. vivax treatment. So it is a second choice of an antibiotic. When doxycycline cannot be given, the clindamycin can be given. Again, the clindamycin is given with the quinine for the same day, same duration, that is a 7 day shot of quinine plus clindamycin in case of a chloroquine resistance malaria. Additionally, in the pregnancy in children where the doxycycline is contraindicated, the clindamycin can be used for the treatment of a resistance P. falciparum malaria. So I tried briefly to cover about the sulfa-pyrimethamine combination and the remaining 2 antibiotics, that is a doxycycline and the clindamycin. So here it is the end of this lecture. Thank you. It always seems impossible until it starts and done. So mindset is everything. Have a blissful day. Thank you.